Probably the most important thing you can do as you create business change is establish standards. Companies like Google are great at this, and at their size, they even create new ones for the rest of us. One you should not have to deal with, though, is the new Google Pixel Data Standard. Before the Google Pixel phone launched, I wrote here about its potential for extra data consumption. Well, it's a week in, and I'm happy to tell you that Google Assistant in Pixel phones boosts your data usage only about as much as Siri does in iPhones, which is to say, not much. But now, the other side. While the Google Pixel and Pixel XL phones are really terrific, Google's built in a little trick that's hard to understand until you consider that Google Pixel Data Standard's idea. Or at least the several Google employees I've spoken with think that's what they've done. They're not really sure. If you like keeping music on your device and you build playlists, the Pixel phones are going to frustrate you. Now, Google jumped into the music business a bit over 5 years ago. I told you then that Google Music had the potential to be an iTunes killer, and in a way, it succeeded at that. The iTunes store is still healthy, but how it works has changed. Most people have stopped buying music, and they stream it instead. Of course, that statement applies to Google Play Music in the same way it affects iTunes. In fact, services like Spotify, where buying music was never the idea, have blown past both. But what if you're a dinosaur like me and you still like buying music and keeping it on your computer or your phone instead of doing this newfangled streaming thing? Well, mostly the answer is dinosaurs die, you need to get over it. But remember that when you have music and movies on your device, playing them doesn't eat into your data allowance. If you don't have an unlimited data plan, streaming music can cost you, and big. Now, of course, that suits your carrier just fine, and the Pixel phone is Google's first mass market attempt to be your carrier. Project Fi, that's Google's carrier project, is not a bad deal, but it's based on you using as much data as possible. The Google Pixel data standards being pushed by Fi help Google more than they help you. With music, the Google Pixel data standards being monkeyed with relate to something you really may never have thought about. People who organize their music into playlists use something called an M3U file, and M3Us are really nothing more than lists of songs grouped together in ways less structured than, say, by album. And on Google Pixel phones, M3U files don't work. Or at least that's what those Google employees I spoke with told me. M3Us may not work on any phones using the latest version of Android, but we don't know yet. We're going to have to wait to see. Either way, though, Google has effectively killed locally kept playlists on Android. The only question is how deeply into Google you have to be for Google Pixel data standards to even matter. Now, standards are great. When you're the size of Google, they help you keep your hold on markets, and when you're like the rest of us, standards help define the paths you take from one business change to the next. But standards also push you further into boxes you might not have wanted to be in. And both sides of that issue pop up in this old piece. Remember, when you're big enough, you can cram something like Google's new Pixel data standards down the world's throat. The question is how you can employ standards to manage the changes in your business. And the answer will vary. And of course, that's why we're here. I'm the Answer Guy, and I'll be back.